we're going to get right into it. I'm going to read you the draft order. I'm going to tell you who people took. You guys are each going to tell me who your favorite pick in that round was, and then you can maybe pontificate, rant a little bit about what you need to do personally, what other people need to do moving into the second round. We'll try to keep it moving. All right, we're going to start off. Pick number 1, and I'm not going to tell you every person that did every pick, but pick number 1 was yours truly, the truth. So, just assume this team's going to be solid. I took Todd Gurley first. Next up, Ezekiel Elliott was pick number 2. Third pick, Le'Veon Bell. Fourth pick, David Johnson. Fifth pick, we delve into wide receivers, Antonio Brown. Sixth pick, Saquon Barkley, picked by CJ, by the way. Seventh pick, this is Joe's pick, DeAndre Hopkins. Eighth pick, Alvin Kamara. Ninth pick, the Wolf, OBJ. 10th pick, Melvin Gordon. 11th pick, Jimbo Slice picks Mike Thomas. And Trader Tim rounds out the first round with the 12th pick with Leonard Fournette. What jumped out at you right away, Joe?
The biggest thing was Zeke going number 2 over Le'Veon. With the recent news that he's holding out, it's not really surprising. And even if he was in camp right now, I'm kind of in favor of this. The guy had 431 touches last year if we include the playoffs. That's a ton of work, and there's lots of history that shows running backs break down after such high usage. So, Zeke's got the best line in the league again after they made some upgrades. They're just going to pound the rock with him. You can't go wrong with that.
Wolf, you got a favorite pick?
I actually love that the Coyote here, my little brother, went David Johnson at number 4 over Antonio Brown. That's not how my big board originally was. But after this round, and you're going to get to my worst pick in a second, and I'm going to be talking about myself. After doing round 1, I just need to have a workhorse. It's tough to pass on a Hopkins, especially tough to pass on an A.B., Odell, all these guys. But, man, I look at what my team could have been if I went with a workhorse, and I like that the Coyote, as hard as it might be to pass on Antonio Brown, and even though that might not be what the industry says, I like that he went with the guy that's going to be the guy, 30 touches a game, and David Johnson. I like that pick a lot.
For the record, I would have definitely also taken David Johnson over Antonio Brown. I thought that was the right pick. Wolf, what do you think as far as the worst pick in the round?
So I'd say Odell Beckham, piggybacking off what I said. I think my own pick. And that way I'm judging this draft unbiasedly. I love Odell. I think his floor is high. I think his ceiling is astronomical, maybe the highest player in fantasy, as high as anybody, especially with Pat Shurmur coming to town. Love a lot about him, but again, if I had a horse, the way the draft unfolded and the way some running backs, the running backs really flew off the board in this draft.
They did.
And I got kind of strapped. Obviously you got to play to your strengths, but we've talked about this on the podcast, is I'm all about building a stable. I want 3 really good backs, including 1 in my flex, and I didn't follow my own advice. And I know me and you right when I made those receivers, Truth, you're right in my ear texting me, just like, receiver, what about all the advice about building a stable, blah, blah, blah. And it's true. I veered off my own path to match my best player available strategy. I need a horse. I don't like that I went Odell. I wish I had Melvin Gordon instead, and I'd really like this team. So I'm saying Odell was the worst pick.
Another great idea for a shirt, by the way. Where's your stable at?
Yeah, where's that stable at, baby? Not with me this year, that's for sure.
Joe, which pick did you not like?
I have a few with A minuses that I've graded out. I guess I'll go with Kamara. His upside's ridiculous. We all know that. Sean Payton's come out and said they're not going to just run him into the ground those first 4 games without Ingram. And I've talked to Wolf about this. I'm really wary of those 1-year breakout players. He did it for 1 year, but he was so productive that he almost has nowhere else to go but down. So I'm just kind of scared of Kamara, I guess.
I think now that you say it like that, I think I'm kind of scared of Kamara too. I'm excited. I think he's exciting, but I'm not sure I would take him that high either. That's interesting. All right, let's go to round number 2. Trader Tim, who took Leonard Fournette to end the first round, kicks it off, goes back-to-back, the workhorse, building a stable, Kareem Hunt, just like that. Then we got Dalvin Cook, Keenan Allen. Wolf picks Julio Jones. You got Beckham and Jones. That's a great-looking squad of receivers, but no stable. Then A.J. Green, Mike Evans was Joe's pick. Joe also goes wide receiver. These are the only 2 guys, by the way, in the draft that went wide receiver to start. CJ comes back, gets Jerick McKinnon. Lots of upside from this guy right now. Jordan Howard, the Coyote. Is it Coyote or Coyote? I never know. Devontae Adams. Red Soccer 45 picks Doug Baldwin. then Christian McCaffrey, and then yours truly finishes off the round with Devontae Freeman, building my stable nicely to begin things. Wolf, favorite pick in the entire round?
Man, I thought the value, I cited the Coyote twice in a row, but I thought Devontae Adams really fell far to be Aaron Rodgers' number one receiver. Jordy Nelson type upside, maybe even higher because he's just that much more athletic at this stage. I really think Adams to round it out with David Johnson. I really like that strategy of a great running back and a great receiver anchor in those first 2 rounds. I think he really executed that well to begin this draft.
Joe, you got a favorite pick?
Yeah, I really liked Dalvin Cook. Jimbo Slice took him there. I gave it an A+ because he paired him with Michael Thomas. That's a really good 1-2 to start off right there.
Least favorite pick, Joe?
Least favorite pick, the lowest graded was Jordan Howard, just because I feel like his upside's a bit limited this year. I still gave it a B+. I didn't hate it. But I feel like he's not going to get a ton of catches. This is a PPR league, and I felt like there were players with bigger ceilings that they could have gone with.
Wolf?
I hate Christian McCaffrey at 23 overall from Roto Duck. He's new to the staff, helping out with our Stock Watch blurbs, but making picks like this is going to get Roto Duck in some hot water soon. I just think you're stuck in a – he's a committee back. C.J. Anderson's going to get more work than I think people are expecting. Every single report's different on McCaffrey, whether he's going to get 200 touches, whether he's going to get 100, whether he's going to get 80. You never know. It's all coach speak. And as much as I like McCaffrey as a talent, I'm not taking a just pure receiving back this early. I think it's a terrible pick.
All right. Any comments on the round, how your teams are shaping up, anything like that?
I'd just like to say I think the Wolf and I's team really are pretty similar. We both go receiver, and then we'll see in the next round we both kind of reach on a running back that neither of us, I would say, are absolutely thrilled with. So I think a lot of that is really us taking what's there. In both instances, there's a big run on running backs right before. So rather than reach, we kind of said, all right, we'll take the elite receivers and try and make up for running back elsewhere.
And I don't think it panned out for us either. I'm not going to lie. Like you said, we'll see who my running back 1 is in a second. But if that guy was my running back 2 and I have like Melvin Gordon and that guy, I would feel great about those 2 plus Julio Jones as my wide receiver 1. I'd feel so good about my team. So again, like I was saying, I'd love my first 2 rounds to be either 2 running backs or a running back and a receiver. I can't go receiver again.
All right, let's kick off the third round with my pick. I picked Tyreek Hill. It's a pick I'm not crazy about, but there's a ton of upside, and I'll defend it if I have to. Darius Geis next. Joe Mixon with the third pick of the third round. Gronk, the Coyote, getting a lot of attention. His team shapes up differently than anyone else's. But he picked Gronk with the 4th pick in the third round. Stephon Diggs, C.J. Lands, Adam Thielen. Joe comes back with Derrick Henry. That's the stretch he was talking about before. Travis Kelce, second tight end off the board, goes next. Jay Ajayi from the Wolf. That's his stable leader. Jarvis Landry. Zach Ertz from Jimbo Slice, who's just always up Zach Ertz's ass like nobody's business. And Trader Tim finishes up the third round with Larry Fitzgerald. Thoughts on the round? Favorite pick of the round, Joe?
Favorite pick of the round? I really liked Adam Thielen from CJ. I think he's got a true wide receiver 1 at pick 30, and he paired that with Jerick McKinnon and Saquon Barkley. So he's really got a lot of upside there, although a lot of question marks as well.
Right, yeah. He does drip upside, but he does have some question marks. Wolf, who was your favorite pick?
I was going to say Thielen. I love both Vikings receivers where they go. I actually have Diggs higher than Thielen on my big board, so I thought both of those guys were fantastic values. I think both will be dominant wide receiver 1s with Kirk Cousins under Joe DeFilippo. I also thought Travis Kelce really fell pretty far, even though I don't love taking a tight end too early because it's a single position that you only need 1 starter at. I thought Kelce that far down is just so much better than most tight ends that it made a lot of sense for from a hand to go him there.
Least favorite pick?
I was going to say my own pick again, but I hate Joe Mixon. I like J.J. more than Mixon, and I think A.J. really reached on Mixon up at 3.03, and that's with Geist right ahead of him. And we just talked about how much I like Geist after, especially all this new news coming out about him. I think that was a very big reach as well, but Mixon even more so to me. I think his offensive line is garbage. I think that offense as a whole is not very good, so even if Mixon's a pretty solid individual talent, versatile guy, I don't like his surrounding situation at all, and I think that was a huge reach.
Roto Duck, the only guy in the draft to go RB to start off. He's got Elliott, McCaffrey, and Geist now.
Stable.
Yeah, that's a stable. Least favorite pick, Joe.
I kind of tend to agree. I think Joe Mixon at 27 is a huge reach. I wouldn't say I hate him, but there's definitely some reasons to be down on him this year. Yeah, it gets kind of tough because there's a lot of reaches at running back. So whereas Wolf hates his team, I actually think we kind of capitalized in a 3-receiver league where we're going to have to start 3 of them. We got some good talent.
That's true.
All right,
points.
Coming back, round 4. Trader Tim starts off with LaShawn McCoy, who's plummet down the big board. Maybe has come to a halt. We'll see. Then Alex Collins, Sony Michel. Wolf comes back with Amari Cooper. Great wide receivers he's got. We'll see if that pans out. I mean, it's a mock team, but we'll see. Aaron Rodgers, first quarterback off the board with the 5th pick in the 4th round. T.Y. Hilton from Joe. And Wolf and Joe are going wide receiver, running back, wide receiver. They've each done that. CJ, Juju Smith-Schuster, Roto Street Journal favorite. Josh Gordon. Deshaun Watson now. So your brother, David Johnson, Devontae Adams, Gronk, Watson. I mean, he's hitting one from each position. Very interesting, very solid talent. Then we got Golden Tate, Allen Robinson, and then I finished the round off with Alshon Jeffrey. Which, by the way, the more I think about that pick, the more I really like it, even though I was kind of mad about it when I made it.
Let me hear why you like that pick before we dive in, because I don't really like that one too much.
Well, I wasn't that excited about it. I looked at who was on the board, and I decided, why am I not taking this guy? I mean, Carson Wentz is coming back. He's the best receiver, minus maybe Zach Ertz, on the Eagles. And I'm looking for like a blue chipper. I'm not necessarily chasing upside, although I do think there's a substantial amount of upside with him there. I want to make sure I'm getting picks because I took Tyreek Hill, which is a big upside chase. And I wanted to make sure that I was getting points every week. And the more I thought about it, the more I actually really thought it was a good pick with the last pick in the 4th round. But we'll see. I might be wrong. I kind of talked myself into it after the fact. But I liked him more than the guys that went directly after him. I liked him more than Corey Davis. I liked him more than Edelman, who went much later in the round. And I like him at least as much, if not more, than Brandon Cooks. And those were the only other receivers that went in that round.
I thought one thing you just said, too, that I think is hilarious is just how you talk yourself into picks. Like, you'll get a guy and you didn't necessarily intend to take him, and then suddenly you just play out all the great narratives about him. I did that with Demarius all last year after I ended up with him in my main league. Like, oh, Mike McCoy's going to love him. He's going to pepper him, blah, blah. Oh, I know exactly what you're saying there. But, no, I get that. That's a fair point. I really love.
I mean, there was a slew of receivers that were taken that round. I mean, you started with Amari Cooper, and we had 7 receivers go in 9 picks, and then the following round, almost no receivers went. So I do feel like there is a little bit of a drop off a cliff, and I hope that Jeffrey is on the higher side of that cliff than the lower side. But what was your favorite pick in the round?
Not to toot my own horn, but I did like Amari Cooper's value a ton with John Gruden called him the main vein of the passing attack, calling him a younger Tim Brown who dominated under Gruden. He's already said we're going to move him all over the place, including the slot, which is where Cooper's been at his absolute most dominant. That huge game he had last year, the 210, 3-touchdown game against the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football. He played by far the most slot snaps of his entire career. It was right around 40%. And just dominated. I think Gruden's going to know that. He's going to capitalize. I think Cooper, especially he's my wide receiver 3. Yeah, he's a little inconsistent. Yeah, he's been boom or bust in his early career, but I think he's going to really find some steady value under John Gruden. And John Gruden, 11 out of 11 wide receiver 1s have topped 1,000 yards. I think Cooper gets back to that threshold under him. I thought it was a great value, as well as Joe's T.Y. Hilton pick. I know both of us, our 3 receivers are pretty ridiculous. I thought that was great value for him, too.
I will say that every receiver that went that round, with the possible exception of Golden Tate, who went 2 slots before Jeffrey, I would have taken before Jeffrey. I was going to take a wide receiver, and I would have taken Cooper, Hilton, Smith-Schuster, Gordon, and even Allen Robinson. That's who I was gearing up to take, but he went the pick before Jeffrey. What was your favorite pick in the round, Joe?
I have similar feelings. I really like the Ty pick. The guy doesn't miss games. Last 2 seasons with luck, he finished as wide receiver 5 and 12. If I'm getting that production from my third receiver, I'm pretty damn happy. And luck's back, guys. Like, the excitement around here is ridiculous. It was just dead last year, no luck. We dealt with Pagano. Like, I can't tell you how amped people are about Wright and Luck right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about that earlier. One question I had about Ty, because you're an indie guy, and I wanted to ask this is, obviously he's a more vertical-based receiver, and Frank Reich's systems historically, that West Coast, like quick pepper, quick strike attack, he does go for the big plays every now and again too. Do you think Ty is going to be a good fit for this system?
I think he will because, I mean, his speed, we can get him in more catch-and-run scenarios where he's out in the middle of the field, he can outrun guys. And then we saw in the Super Bowl, it's kind of like crossing route, and then bam, he hits you with the big play. I feel like Ty is going to be amazing at that because cornerbacks, they'll be waiting on those crossing routes and waiting them to cut over the middle, and then he'll just shoot down, and no one's going to be able to catch him.
All right, well, you guys have tooted your own horns enough. What picks did you not like in this round? Joe, go ahead.
I thought the quarterbacks went a little high. I think Rodgers at 41. I mean, he's a stud when he plays. But he's had some significant injuries the past 5 years. I mean, past 5 seasons, finished quarterback 29, 1, 7, 1, and 22. So he's not invincible to be taking him at 41. And then, Watson's pretty high at 45 as well. The guy was amazing, but he hasn't even played a full season. I think we need to calm down a little bit.
I'm with you. Wolf, who's your least favorite pick of the round?
Fully agree there. You know my stance on QBs. So then I'm also going to say Sony Michel I thought was really early. He has some huge upside, of course. I recognize that. But this is where I would take him if it was Sony Michel's locked into an every down featured role. Then he's looking at like an early, fourth, late third type of pick. But there's just so much lack of clarity with a Patriots backfield pretty much week to week. You never know what's going to happen, never mind preseason. So with Burkhead probably locked into the goal line role with a committee situation, as much upside as Sony Michel has, I feel like Keegs could have got him even a round later, which is a burnt pick in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. As a matter of fact, there were 4, 5, 6 running backs that went the following round, and I would say solid 5 of them I would have rather had than Michel at that spot. All right, let's go to round 5. I started round 5 off with Mark Ingram, which I'm pretty thrilled about. Of course, he's facing a suspension, but talk about building a stable. The truth's building a stable. Corey Davis, Lamar Miller, who I also would have liked more than Sony Michel, Rashard Penny, Evan Ingram, Kenyon Drake. We got Freeman. Joe coming up with Freeman. He's taking his second running back with Royce Freeman. Then we've got Julian Edelman also facing a suspension, but obviously solid when he's there. The Wolf picking Dion Lewis. The stable is just, I don't know, it's a suspect stable. Tom Brady then going. Keegs picking up Tom Brady. Jimbo picking up Jones at running back. And then Trader Tim closing out the round with Brandon Cooks. Wolf, who's your favorite pick in this round?
Man, I don't like a lot about this round. I'm not going to lie. I really did actually like your Ingram pick based on your team makeup. I hate to give you any type of credit, Truth, but when you already had 2 solid, safe horses in the stable, and then you can add Ingram and you can really eat that suspension pretty well because you already got the 2 horses to do it, I think Ingram was a really nice value. And then 4 weeks into the season, you're going to get that as your flex. And we saw how dominant he was in that tandem with Kamara last year. I think they keep that run-heavy approach. If it's not broke, don't fix it type of thing. I think Ingram's going to just pick up where he left off last year, and I think that's a fantastic pick in that late.
Also, 4 weeks, the guy doesn't have to play. I mean, if something happens to Gurley or Freeman, he can obviously fill in seamlessly in the stable. What was your favorite pick, Joe?
I loved Brandon Cooks at pick 60. I mean, the past 3 years, he's finished as wide receiver 15, 10, and 13. To get that at 60, I feel like it's huge value. I don't see why he shouldn't be around that range in the Rams' top scoring offense. And then Golf heading into year 3, his second year in this McVay system. I don't know why the Rams aren't talked about as much for a team that has so many weapons and scores so easily.
All right, what was your least favorite pick?
Least favorite was definitely Ronald Jones. That's just one of the guys I'm staying away at all costs. He's got a crowded backfield. I didn't love him in college. He's kind of one of those He either loses 3 yards for you or he gets a 20-yard gain. The O-line is average at best, and then Bucks ranked 29th in scoring last year. I just don't love anything about it.
Least favorite pick, Wolf?
I really didn't like this round as a whole, outside your pick, and I think Evan Ingram by Taylor was a nice pick.
I thought Lamar Miller was a nice pick where he went, just to be honest.
I think Lamar Miller, too, you're right. High floor, he's losing some weight, and he's in a good offense, and Foreman might be on the PUP. I think Miller was actually a really nice pick, but after there, it was all kind of downhill for me. I don't like Penny. I don't like Drake. If I'm going to pick the worst one, Joe, I apologize, but I'm coming at you here. Royce Freeman, even in his best-case scenario here, in the middle of round 5, you're looking at a pretty bad offensive line. I know they're saying the play is a lot better. They added Valde here or whatever that guy's name is. He's okay at tackle, but I don't like his offensive line. I think it's already been very clear from Vance Joseph. We're going to use multiple backs. They had 4 running backs already working with the first team this first day of camp. And so let's say he emerges out of a committee, which it's going to be a committee, it sounds like. You got a lead guy in a not very potent offense behind a not very good line. Royce Freeman's best case, I don't even think, is where you took him, and I think we're not even going to get his best case. I think he's going to be trapped in a committee all year in Denver. I don't like that pick.
All right, round 6. I kicked off. We kick off round 6 with Demaryius Thomas. Soft ass Wolf.
I fucking hate Demaryius Thomas. Come on, you knew I was gearing up for that one.
I was. He's a vegan.
Vegan soft ass.
Demaryius Thomas, Marvin Jones, Devontae Parker.
Oh my
Stay
God.
away. Stay away.
Yes.
Wolf coming
How
back.
is that? It's horrible.
I think we already know who everyone's least favorite pick of this round was. Well, we'll see, though. There were a couple bad ones. Rex Burkhead for the Wolf. Tariq Cohen. Cam Newton. No, wait. Sorry. Kyle Rudolph for Joe. Sammy Watkins. The beast mode himself. Marshawn Lynch. Michael Crabtree. I've got to say, Crabtree going several spots below Devontae Parker. I don't love that.
Joe.
Marquise Goodwin, Kerryon Johnson, and then I closed the round out with Duke Johnson as my 4th running back to solidify the stable. Wolf, favorite pick of the round?
I thought Jimbo Slice got a great value on Marvin Jones. He was, a wide receiver 5 or 6 last year. And, yeah, I know Galladay is coming back, and Galladay, when he played, there's some great splits that Jones just really dropped off in terms of targets and yardage. But ultimately, this guy's a huge playmaker. He can go up and get the ball over people. He's great with the feet and the toe taps. We've seen that since Cincy, and that kind of translated. We saw it in flashes in year 1 with Detroit. He really put it together for a consistent season. And now you got the best line of Matthew Stafford's career, so he has even more time to shake free and get deep. Same offensive coordinator, so the consistency's there. The line play is going to be better. Matt Stafford should be better because of that line play. I think Marvin Jones was an absolute steal. The rest of this round I really don't like. I love that pick.
First, what's your favorite pick, Joe?
I'm surprised you're not higher. I love the Sammy Watkins at 67.
I like that pick.
Yeah, highly talented. He finally stayed healthy full season last year, so hopefully those injury woes, knock on wood, are behind him. Well, if you've been hyping up Mahomes all off season, if he's as good as you think he's going to be, then Watkins is definitely going to benefit from that. So I just think getting him this late at pick 67 was a huge value.
I want to say something on that pick as well, because I took Tyreek Hill obviously a lot earlier than that, which I regret a little bit, although I think Hill's upside is second to none just about. I think that we had a guy on the pod last year, and I don't remember who it was, so I apologize. Maybe Jared took ours, but it might not have been him. Who was the guy that had the same player, different round approach?
Oh, that was the NFL talking head.
Right.
I remember that.
So, and I benefited from that because the Cooper Crabtree comparison, I took Crabtree in a lot of drafts, and it was true. He was, better, as good or better than Cooper, but way cheaper. I don't think Hill and Watkins are the same. I don't think you can judge them that way. But I think it is possible that Watkins has enough upside where he's actually extremely undervalued if he's going in the middle of the 6th round. And so I think that's not a bad pick. I also like the Crabtree pick.
I was just going to say, I completely forgot the Crabtree pick, and we just talked about how much open volume is there in Baltimore. Joe Flacco's play is improving with the fire under his ass. I think Crabtree's going to go down as the best pick of that round. This actually, now that I look at it, I like the Kyle Rudolph pick too. I think Lynch is a good value behind that beefy offensive line with Gruden kind of turning the clocks back to the 90s. This line, either I really love the picks or I really hate the pick. Tariq Cohen, you know how much we all love him here. So I loved a lot of it, but there's some I really hated.
I would have taken Kyle Rudolph, Sammy Watkins, or Crabtree over the guy to ended up settling for Duke Johnson. They all went 3 of the 5 picks before I went. Pick Johnson because of his pass catching ability. I figured he'd be a good potential guy to put in the flex. I'm really trying to stock up on running backs to guard against injury, stuff like that. You got a least favorite? I mean, is Devontae Parker everyone's least favorite?
It's got to be the least favorite is Devontae Parker. I mean, that's just a horrible reach. I don't even think we should waste time talking about him because of how bad of a pick that is. We know he's getting blanketed in camp already. He's just a fool's gold. He is the definition of fantasy fool's gold because he's long and fast and looks like he should be fantastic. I also hate the Kerryon Johnson pick. I mean, a lot of people are high on this guy. Too. But it's a 4-headed fucking nightmare we're talking about here, people. They're saying Amir Abdullah's staying and he's going to be involved. You got Theo Riddick stealing receptions. You're going to have LeGarrette Blount stealing at the goal line. Yeah, Kerryon Johnson will be that between the 20s guy, but I hate just pure between the 20s guys. So as good as that offensive line could be this year with all the improvements they made, doesn't make a difference when there's 4 people getting the volume there. I don't like that pick by Duck at all.
Joe, least favorite pick?
Yeah, I mean, least favorite Kerryon, at least with Parker, I can see the logic where, okay, Jarvis Landry's gone, so he's going to get a lot more targets. All right, Tannehill's an upgrade over Cutler. Like, I can at least see the logic, not that I'm buying it. Kerryon Johnson, like you said, he's got Blount, Abdullah, Riddick in the backfield. I think I just don't see the opening for this guy to give you consistent points. So stay away from him at all costs.
All right, guys, we're going to have to speed things up a lot. We're about 28 minutes in. We're through the first 6 rounds. I'm going to ask you guys to just name your favorite and least favorite. You don't even have to elaborate unless you think it's necessary. From each of the following rounds, I'm not even going to read off the names, with the exception of the fact that I'm going to let everyone know that I started the 7th round by picking Robbie Anderson, which is a pick that I love. I'm just going to put that out there right now. Just put it out there in the stratosphere, and you can do what you will with it. With that said, Wolf, who was your favorite pick in the 7th round?
I thought Chris Hogan was an absolute steal where he went. You got the first 4 games, he's going to be the clear target hog of New England's offense alongside Rob Gronkowski, and then maybe there's room for him just to continue building off that. I mean, even with Brandon Cooks and Gronk there last year, he was a wide receiver 15 through the first few weeks until he got tweaked himself. So I think Hogan was a fantastic value with great upside at that pick.
Joe, who's your favorite pick of the round?
I gave that one a good grade. My favorite pick was landing Cam Newton at 79. I know we're supposed to wait on quarterbacks, but there comes a certain point where they become a good value this late in the draft. So I think getting a potentially, top scoring quarterback in the league, I think most people have him top 5 this year. This late, he's going to give me more points than anyone else I would have picked at this point in the draft.
Wolf, least favorite pick?
I didn't love the Robert Woods pick, and I know he has that established chemistry and the most high-scoring offense of last year. But with Brandon Cooks now in tow, with Cooper Kupp another year developed, yeah, Woods will have some blow-up games. But even with Brandon Cooks, too, that whole offense, I'm just nervous you're not going to be able to predict which receiver blows up when, and it just becomes tough to really trust any of them. So I don't really like the Woods pick here.
Least favorite pick, Joe?
Probably Randall Cobb, if not siding with Robert Woods. I mean, last 3 years, let's just give you the last 2 years, wide receiver 35 and 52. The guy's always playing through some kind of injury. He's never 100%. And then the red zone, they added Graham and Mercedes Lewis. They're going to get a lot of those red zone passes. I don't see the upside with Randall Cobb.
I feel like this is a commentary kind of on the point that we're in at the draft. You said Randall Cobb was 35 and 50. And just to be clear, guys, I didn't pick Randall Cobb, so I have no horse in this race. But you said he was 35 and 52 last few years. He went as the wide receiver 38. Seems like he's kind of right in that range where he's been. Any pick at this point seems like you're reaching almost a little bit, which is maybe why you felt good taking the Newton pick. Round 8. Joe, who's your favorite pick in round 8?
Favorite pick in round 8? Let's see. I gave a Carson Wentz at 86. I gave that one an A-. I liked it quite a bit. Now I'll just say part of the Randall Cobb pick is I feel like there's a few other receivers who have higher ceiling for you that go later on. We'll talk about later.
Okay. Well, favorite pick in the 8th round?
I loved Carson Wentz as well, and that was the only reason I didn't say I loved the Cam Newton pick. I think your logic's great. And this goes to show quarterbacks are really starting to fall. I don't know if this is because it's like a Roto Street and that's what we preach and people are listening to the advice here. I don't think Carson Wentz and Cam are going to fall this far in most drafts. But if you can get Carson Wentz, like this is where I would start to consider a quarterback. I know all offseason I've said not till round 12, 13, 14 am I going to even look at quarterback. Carson Wentz, the 33 touchdowns in 13 games last year is sitting there that late. I thought that was a steal by Jimbo Slice. I really like that pick, too, just to piggyback off him. And Drew Brees, and pick 92. Just quarterbacks in general, I thought suddenly became very good values in this point of the draft.
All right. We're going to stick with just positives since we're getting down to the bottom of the round. We don't need to, blow someone up for making a terrible pick in round 10. Wolf, round 9. Who was your favorite pick?
Oh, well, I did want to say that the Marlon Mack pick, Joe, I'm sorry. I've blown you up a couple times, but that Indy backfield committee is nothing I'm looking forward to at all. Unless I'm taking Nyheim Hines in round 13.
You can give me my props for picking Nyheim Hines in round 11 in a little bit. But who is your favorite pick in round 9?
Round 9, it is starting to get a little gross out there, but you know how down I am on Christian McCaffrey. It's because I like C.J. Anderson a lot. I really think he's going to be a great fit for this offense. I really like him as a talent. I love bowling ball backs like him, and I think he's going to be a souped-up Mike Tolbert who thrived under Norv Turner. I think C.J. Anderson is going to be a nice close to 1,000 total yards, maybe even double-digit TDs that you get in round 9, and it's so unsexy, and I love it.
Joe, who's your favorite pick in the 9th round?
I don't know how it's not Emmanuel Sanders at 98. I mean, we saw Demarius go several rounds higher. I feel like Emmanuel could, in my mind, they're about the same. Brand new quarterback.
I agree with that.
That I stole Pierre Garçon at 103. I know Goodwin is the sexy guy, but everyone's forgetting about Garçon. He played very well last year before he got hurt. He's healthy now. I think he'll be the possession receiver in that offense for Garoppolo.
All right, round 10. Who is your favorite pick, Joe?
Round 10. Let me see. Let me take a quick look here.
We're rapid fire at this point.
Wolf, you got Mahomes pretty late. I'm a big fan of his as well.
That was the most predictable pick in the draft, by the way.
Yeah, we all knew it was coming.
I feel like I almost reached just because I knew Truth was going to try to take him if I didn't, and I didn't want to listen to that fucking little snobby comments you would make.
I would have taken him as my second quarterback. Yeah, absolutely. If you hadn't taken him there, I absolutely would have.
Yeah. I also paired Devontae Booker with Freeman, so I own that Denver backfield now. Whatever one emerges, I'm going to have a starting running back there.
Favorite pick in the 10th round?
Bad offense.
Who's your favorite? Yeah. Who's your favorite pick in the 10th round, Wolf?
My boy Jordan Reed. I know it's disgusting
because
he's going to get hurt. And he's gonna tweak the vag, and I know he's going to be out for quite some time. But the games you get out of him, he's saying he's 100% better than he's feeling last year. I think even if you only get 8 games out of him at this point, you're getting a tight end 1 for those 8 games. He's a beast. Alex Smith's a tight end friendly quarterback. I really think Jordan Reed's going to have some productive games, even if it's not going to be.
The guy that picked him already had an elite tight end on his team. You're saying all the games he plays? Yeah, he's true. I mean, I don't know. To me, that seemed like a ridiculous pick. Whatever.
Maybe your flex, though, right? He's got Julian Edelman for the suspension at wide receiver.
That's 3. A fair point.
Maybe you get 4 games out of Jordan Reed for your flex, and then suddenly you get Edelman coming in, and Jordan Reed's already pulled his ass. So, that's what I think. I like Jordan Reed's upside there at this point. And Kenny Stills, too. Good upside.
Wolf, who do you like in the 11th round? And I just want to say, but before we go here, because we're running out of time, right when I made this pick, I went George Kittle, 10th round, Nyheim Hines to start the 11th round, and the Wolf texted me that he wanted to slap me in the face.
And I still do. I thought both of those picks were the 2 exact guys I wanted to fall to me because I didn't have a tight end yet, and I liked Kittle's upside receiving-wise. And then I love Nyheim Hines. You know how much I've talked about him on this podcast. I think he is the ultimate penny stock running back. I won't say this year's Kamara because that would be absurd. There won't be another Kamara. But if anybody's going to emerge with Andrew Luck back, with that offense on the rise under Frank Reich, with them playing from behind a lot because I think their defense is still pretty bad, I could see Hines being in the game more than any running back out of Indy. I think he's going to rack up reception after reception. I really like that pick.
Favorite pick, Joe?
I was a big fan. I got Chris Carson late, and I really like Kenny Galladay at 128 as well.
Yeah, I love the Chris Carson pick, especially he's the number 1 running back right now. That was one after Truth took the 2 I wanted. Carson was next on the list, and so then I was just real pissed by the end of it. I love that.
All right, we're going to round 12. This is going to be the last round that we assess this way. Then we're going to go right to grades. Who is your favorite pick in round 12, Wolf?
Oh, round 12, I really think Anthony Miller by Jimbo Slice was fantastic. He was handpicked by Nagy, even though they already added 2 new receivers in Allen Robinson and Taylor Gabriel. They made sure to go out and get Miller high draft capital, high round 2 pick, because Nagy said, I love the way this guy runs routes. I look at him and I say, this is exactly how I want to use him. I love that quote from Nagy when somebody has the exact vision in mind. And every report so far is that Miller's been a star at training camp. He's moving in the backfield. He's moving in the slot. He's going all over the place. I think Miller's going to be a steal there. I love it.
All right, final favorite pick, Joe. Who you got? Round 12.
I give you credit, Wolf. You got Jack Doyle at 136. He was tight end 7 last year. Andrew Luck's back. That offense is going to be clicking. I've been harping, don't worry about Ebron. Ebron will play the Burton role, and Jack Doyle will play the Ertz role in Frank Wright's offense from Philadelphia.